I was watching, I guess you could say hate watching or trying to become informed of what the other side is thinking. Other side, as if I'm a Democrat now. Um, I was trying to become informed on what, people that watch things like Newsmax and things like OAN kind of, I watch it just to see, what they're selling them, the talking points they're giving them. A lot of times when you talk to people who aren't very politically informed, but they do watch some of this, like, they, ingest some of this media like Newsmax, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, it's the same thing. But if you start to give them details and start to explain things more in depth, they kind of immediately go back into their shell and start giving out talking points, things that, they just heard, on the news that they ingest. So this is why I like to watch themselves, just so if I'm actually talking to someone and I want to, sway them, bring them over to my side and they ingest this media, I can know exactly kind of what they're going to bounce back with and know how to dispel that. So that's why I was watching Newsmax, and I came across this stunning commercial. Take a look.
And grandparents, great news! Mike Huckabee's education company wants to help your family to celebrate President Trump and all that he has accomplished as our president. For a limited time, you can get the Kids Guide to President Trump for free. This fun kids guide will help your kids learn all about the president's greatest achievements. What's more, it's part of a very special gift bundle that includes a free kids magazine and free video lesson too. To learn more and order the Kids Guide to President Trump gift bundle, just visit freetrumpguide.com. That's
okay. So the Kids Guide to Donald Trump. Wow. That's some serious indoctrination right there. I truly hope no parent gets that for their kid. That's scary. If Trump really cared about kids, he would have helped end child poverty. He wouldn't have slashed, I think it was the SNAP budget, which, helps disadvantaged and poor kids get free lunches. He wouldn't have slashed the child health insurance program. He would have supported free college, which would even the playing field. Allow kids whose parents can't afford it and maybe they don't know how to work the loan system and they have no hope or no future in actually going to college because of the expense of it, actually have a chance, an opportunity to advance their own lives and their own situation. He would support that. He doesn't. He doesn't really care about kids. I guess he did care about the kids whose parents are Fortune 500 CEOs and whose parents have huge stock portfolios and whose parents own companies, because he did slash the corporate tax rate and he slashed taxes for a lot of very wealthy folks with his 2017 tax cut. So yeah, that's who Donald Trump cares about. We saw that for 4 years, but Newsmax wants to sell you something different. He wants to sell you that President Trump was a great president and he was, someone who really cared about people like yourself, kids like yourself, who really wanted you to get ahead in life and all these things. No, that's not the case. But that's the media nowadays, even on the right. So Newsmax kind of, I guess, I don't know exactly when they were formed, but I know they became very popular once Fox kind of, they went along the train as long as they could with the election fraud BS. But at a certain point, Fox was like, well, Joe Biden is going to become president. We have to start at least acknowledging it on a base level. And there was a lot of people, because Trump was obviously still pushing hard against that notion, there was a lot of right-wingers and just Trumpers, I guess, who were very angry at Fox because they started doing this, because they started accepting basic reality. And so Newsmax and OAN became very popular because they were still pushing this election fraud game. And they pushed it right until the point where economically for them, it would have become detrimental. And why was that? Well, the Dominion voting system, the right-wing media was all pushing, saying these voting machines were fraudulent, they were rigged, all this type of stuff. They started sending out cease and desist letters because they were going to start suing Fox, OAN, some of these right-wing outlets. I think it was for defamation or just for damages. I don't know. They were going to sue them. So right when that happened, Newsmax and OAN stopped pushing this election fraud BS. Now, why would they do that? If they truly thought that this was something that was real, that was a threat to democracy, like they were saying, was a threat to the American way of life, all these things. If they truly believe that, why would they stop just for fear of a lawsuit? They stopped because they care about money, guys. Like, these media companies are corporations. And what do corporations do? They do what is economically in their own best interest, right? Why do you think that MSNBC and CNN, they don't really talk about Medicare for all ever? They don't talk bad about the insurance companies. They don't talk bad about the pharmaceutical companies. Why do you think that is? Well, I'll tell you. If you watch MSNBC or CNN or pretty much any of these media apparatuses, they make their money off their advertisers. And who are their advertisers? I mean, if you just sit down for 30 minutes and watch MSNBC, you see like 2, 3, 4 pharma commercials. You might see a Boeing commercial, even though no normal person just buys like planes and defense weapons. But this is who their, advertiser base is. So, of course, they're not going to talk bad about them. They care about money. Newsmax is no different for all you people on the right who, think they're fighting the good fight and they're telling you, all the right things and all the things that Fox won't even tell you. Of course, the MSNBC and CNN, the liberal media won't tell you, but not even Fox will tell you this, but they'll tell you it on Newsmax. Guys, they care about money. As soon as it was a threat to them making more money, they stopped selling that BS. In fact, let's watch exactly what they started saying, and an exchange with the MyPillow CEO, who is actually principled in the sense that even though he got sent a cease and desist letter, he's still been screaming it from the rooftops. He's just so, crazy that he actually believes a lot of the BS that he's been sold. He's bought it hook, line, and sinker. But let's watch what he had to say on Newsmax program about the election fraud.
So what happened? What happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these Dominion machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then I put it back up, my personal, it was a
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will. We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this could be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines. So I'm sorry if you think it's not
Mike,
real.
Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those allegations that you're...
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall in terms of censorship of...
Trying to cancel out my company and myself. Okay. In this country, it's cancel culture.
Okay, so obviously that went off the rails. The main guy basically walked off the set because he was saying, I can't do this anymore. They were just talking over each other, yelling over each other. And he had to keep repeating the lines. Of course, here at Newsmax, we haven't been able to verify this, blah, blah, blah. That's their way of getting out of being sued. So even though they were pushing this for months, now this is what they're saying. And, that is obviously a telling exchange. I think if you watch this program, hopefully you can start finding some other programs that are actually going to give you real news, not just propaganda, not just tell you what you want to hear because they're trying to make money off of you. And if they really cared about election fraud and voter disenfranchisement and all this type of stuff, they would talk about the Republicans who constantly are, trying to instill tougher voter regulations, all type of hoops you have to jump through, which is just difficult to do. They have, deadlines for registration, and if you sign up after the deadline, you can't vote, or just a bunch of other ways. This is going back to, Jim Crow era type stuff that they do to prevent people from voting. But or they would talk about some of these gerrymandered districts. Now, it's not just the Republicans that do this. The Democrats do it too, but the Republicans have really perfected it. I mean, take a look at this district. I mean, this district, as you see, Colby Lee says, it's more than 80 miles of extreme gerrymandering. And you see it goes from San Antonio all the way to Austin. That's one congressional district. I don't even know what shape that is. I mean, come on. How many? That's obviously sculpted perfectly so that whoever is in that district can keep getting reelected, because they just put all the voters that agree in the same district and they'll get reelected. So that's true kind of. I guess it's not election fraud, but I mean, in a sense it is. It's kind of rigging the election to make sure the person that has that seat will win again. But if they really cared about it, they start talking about stuff like this. Obviously they don't. If they're selling you this and then they stop once they get threatened to get sued, because of course what they're selling is BS, they're in it for the money, guys. Don't fall for that.